This is the view from the mountain, with a heart so pure it's astounding. Man, mountain strong and true. What a man, what a view. What a man, what a view.
Evening Ramblers, it's Paul Mountain here to take you through the view from the mountain. Difficult day today for football, I'd say. Just wanted to say a few things about that before we get started. Obviously, it's a somber note that we start on today following the loss of Diogo Jota. It's been all over the press today. I know it's going to be on people's minds. I know certainly there'll be some comments about it as well. So I just wanted to say, obviously from the Sheffield United and the Blades Ramble community, a real heartfelt sympathy and empathy for the family, the friends, the people around. Jota and his brother Andre as well, who sadly passed as well on a day like today. So Liverpool fans and obviously Wolverhampton Wanderers fans, we understand exactly how this feels. We've been through very similar in recent times with Maddie, with George, with Johnny. We know how you feel, and just want to play our respect to that and just mention that at the start of the stream today. And I know there'll probably be some people who want to say the same things in the comments, which I will get to shortly. Also, there's been a lot of things about Sheffield Wednesday recently. Obviously, we read a lot about it and what's going on there. Personally, when we're on the pitch and when we're playing, everything's fair game, and taunting them when we win and other things. We're doing the Sheffield double last year. That's great stuff, and it's all good banter. But at this time, we want to remain respectful for those people who are struggling with getting paid their wages. I'm not specifically talking about the players who are obviously well compensated for their services, but also it's the backroom staff and the ordinary people that make clubs tick in the background who have mortgages to pay and other things. We just want to respectfully say that any comments, they're not for you. We feel for you, and as a community, we just want to say that we respect what you're going through, and we don't want it to continue, obviously. So, what I want to do to start with is just go through some of the comments, just to put those little issues to bed, because it's important that we acknowledge them. And obviously, I want to get us through as many comments as I can today. So let's get these up for you. So the first one, hi Rob, RIP Diogo Jota and his brother, gone way too soon, absolutely tragic. Thoughts with the family. Yeah, that's right. Being a man in his 40s, the first thing I thought of today was, what was I doing when I was 28 years old? And that was pre-children as well for me. And yeah, it really does make you think, doesn't it? And big sympathy for the parents as well in this situation, because I fully agree and back that, Rob. Thank you. Pete Campervan training, right? Real shocking today. Thoughts go out to the family and friends, of course. The fans, we know how we felt when George passed. Liverpool fans will be hurting. RIP Diogo Jota and his brother, indeed. Come on, Paul, share with us what you know. Thank you. Yeah, I'll let Jimmy spill beans. Good evening, Paul and the Blades. We're all moaning the lack of transfer, but I think that lot Air 6 might not have a club to support. So let's cheer up and see where Ruben takes us, hopefully. Yeah, a bit of perspective. Thank you, Raymond. It's Ray's always a good voice of reason, a mature voice in the chat. It puts a few of our little gripes and moans into perspective, doesn't it? A little bit. Yes, I agree, Ray. Promotion, to get behind the club. We're in good shape. We are in good shape. It's certainly still the strongest squad that I can remember going into a championship season for Sheffield United. That might change in the short-term future, but we've got to remember we all want to move forward, no more than the owners, who've got a lot more riding on it, even than we have, believe it or not. Evening, Paul. I would like to say the news today about Jota is terrible. I agree, Danny. Married 2 weeks ago, leaving his wife and 3 children behind. The 3 children. Thankfully, he did get to marry the love of his life. So it's not consolation right now, but hopefully it will be in the future when they look back and think about what's happened. Evening, mate. Hope you're well. Really hope there's some signings soon. Still gutted about Jimmy Dunn. Yeah, we'll get on to Jimmy Dunn in a bit. We'll touch on some of the people who we've missed out on, supposedly missed out on, if we were ever in for those. We'll discuss it in a short while. I just want to get through a few more. RIP Jota, thank you, HJ. The Saint, classy man Mountain, we will miss your talent on the pitch. Diogo, indeed. Yeah, not my Mountain. That's not my talent. Evening Mountain, hope you're all good, pal. Cheers, Toddy lad. Thank you very much. On a lighter note, the season needs to come round. We need signings to make the team stronger. Yeah, we'll get onto that. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much, Danny. Yeah, that's right. If you're watching the stream, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Costs you nothing. Takes you 3 seconds. Means a lot to me and Jimmy and the rest of the Ramblers. Evening, Paul. Hope you're well. Glad I'm not the only one who isn't worried about the lack of signings. Plans will be in place. I'm sure the ball is rolling. RIP, Diego and Andre. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, me too. We'll talk about that, Mark. Yeah. Danny, need to make sure we don't rush into the signings. Good. Yeah. Been offered who's been offered, but get who we need and who fits the seller's style. Exactly. A quick sign-in isn't always a good sign-in. So, yeah, I'd rather hang on to get the right people. It could even be towards the end of the window. We know a lot of the best loan players will become available towards the end of this window once the Premier League teams have got the squads in place that they want in place, and they'll know what they want to do with the futures of some of their young players. Some of these teams, Chelsea, for example, the best example probably, they have at least another 20 players who could probably come into the Championship and do an amazing job for a team who are going to be nowhere near their squads this season. So they'll let them get their ducks in order, and then we'll go knocking on doors. And I'm pretty sure there'll be somebody who want to come and play for Sayers and the Blades. Evening, Paul. We know how you feel. RIP Diogo. Now I'm hoping the voice of reason settles our nerves. Thank you, David. I don't know who that is. It could be me. It could be one of my guests who, my only guest today, who's going to come on in a little bit. Yes, heartfelt thoughts with Jota. I agree, Ray. Thank you for that. Just do me a favour. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. If Blades get Barry, I can see him being your Dan James. Yeah, way too good for this division. Great signing from a Leeds fan. Yeah, we hope so. There's rumours everywhere. The story's going again. Barry's apparently I've just read that he's going to Hull, apparently. I don't know. Until someone stood there holding a shirt, let's just keep on Blades. That's what I say to that one. News floating about Twitter that Hull are back in the driving seat for Louis Barry. I'm sure it is. I'm sure he had a lot of clicks. I'm sure he got what he wanted. Yeah, until someone's holding a shirt, pal, I'd say. Until we get a photo at the training ground, that's a good indicator, isn't it? Then I'll start to believe stuff like that. Evening, mate. Any news on the new kit? Well, the Superstore opens again on Saturday, I believe, and that wouldn't be a bad time to launch the new kit. Usually they close the Superstore so they can refurb with all the new gear, so they can flog it, obviously, in time for the new season and maximize the sales whilst people are getting excited about the new season. We've been linked with French 6'5" centre-back Etienne Kimcow. Oh, have we? Sources from Fabrizio Romano, a very credible source indeed. It's thought to be the man. If he says it, it usually happens. He's got a very strong record as an agent in football for only really putting out the information that's definitely going to be on the money. And yeah, let's hope so. I hope that's the case because I think he's a good player. I'm going to talk about him in a short while. So what I want to do today, guys, is go through some of the signings that have already happened in the Championship, some of the guys that we were linked with that didn't happen, obviously, and just talk you through some of those, some of the potential future signings, maybe, and a little bit of a quiz for my mate who's going to join me in a moment to see if he remembers where some of these guys came from. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest today. He's a Platinum Rambler. He's becoming quickly part of the furniture on the Blades Ramble, appears regularly, famous for his rambles on the road. Please welcome Lee Endridge. How are you, pal? You all right?
Very well, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening to you, mate. Good evening to you. Yeah, so I'm here to obviously talk to you about some of the things that have happened so far. We've already had a mention about Jimmy Dunn, which, some of us were a little bit surprised. We think he was lined up as a potential signing by Wilder. He's actually re-signed with QPR, and that kind of makes me think about what type of signing he would have been if the best offer he got was from QPR And no disrespect to QPR, but we expect QPR to be a mid-table side next season potentially. And he was there. He was thought of as their best player last year. What do you make out of missing out on Dunn?
Initially, I was a little bit gutted because it's somebody that I've fancied and been talking about for about 18 months. He's a really solid right-sided centre half. Well, obviously, they played as a right back. Why he stayed there? Is it just out of not necessity, but out of safety? Because we've obviously given him, or we believe we've given him a good offer to come to us as a free agent. Have they given him a really good offer? You know what I mean? At his age, he's 27, he's in his prime. You'd have thought, there'd be a few more clubs after him, but, maybe he's happy in London. He might be getting more than what we'd offered him. Maybe the signing on bonus that we offered would have made his money a lot better. But, I was disappointed. I really wanted him as a player. I think he would have upped us, definitely, because he's twice the player of what Robinson is, personally. But he's not coming. So,
No, he's not. He's not. And the truth is, Lee, we never know, do we? Because we think he was linked to us. We think there might have been a deal in place. We had all these ideas. We didn't know anything, obviously. We had hearsay, didn't we? We had potentially this is happening. And agents aren't stupid, in my opinion. They're there for the best deal. And we never know whether there was any intention to move up north and come to Sheffield United. Maybe we were used as a pawn in a little game to negotiate the best possible deal with QPR. We will never ever know. But personally, again, I don't want to sum up all the transfers that have happened so far. The fact that he signed for QPR kind of tells me where his ceiling might be. In that there's a lot of clubs who are in a better position than QPR to offer better money, and it could be that they weren't interested. And if they weren't interested, why weren't they interested? Okay, if he's a free agent, it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? Because he's not going to cost them a great deal of money. And I know he wasn't on a particularly high wage. Was the word I got. It was 10,000 a week. So it wouldn't be too difficult to leapfrog that. And I don't know really. There was another one that was a little bit more. I'm a little bit more trepidation about was Carl Kessler-Hayden. Signed Coventry, obviously, from Aston Villa. Villa have decided he's not for them. Proven at this level, again, £3.5 million seems like a decent deal for a good defender in this league. What were your thoughts?
I would have liked Kessler-Hayden. I think he definitely ups a level for us on the right side. Proven. I do fancy Sariki, but I do think Kessler-Hayden's a step up. Sariki worries me about his fitness levels. He's in and out. He'll play 3 weeks and he'll miss 3 weeks. And at 23-year-old, 22, 23, that does worry me. Where he should be as fit as he's going to be. Then again, we've had this with Brewster.
Do you not feel like he's never played at this level consistently or in his career? It's a different intensity to under 21 football, obviously, or under 23s, whatever it is. And do you not feel like he might need 15, 20 games to get to that level of fitness? Because I think he's been the step forward for him and the progression of him has been massive.
My counter would be City Peck. They've come from the same level. He didn't need 15, 20 games to get to fitness, did he?
No, but he was running on fumes.
He'd come back from 2 knee injuries.
I get it, but he was after 5 or 6 games, City's levels went right down.
Correct. That's true. That is true. I'll give you that. And he did get stronger as the season went back on once he had a rest. So there is that. Yeah, there is that.
I've got a lot of hopes for him. I think his physical attributes mean that his ceiling's really, really high. He's a proper athlete, and I think he could be one that we use this season a little bit more. Obviously, there was Harry Darling, who we missed out on, supposedly. Went over to Norwich. He's followed his manager. Oh, no, he hasn't. He's gone over to Norwich. What do you think to him? He was, again, another steady performer at this level. Again, were we in for him? I have no idea. Would you have liked him at the Lane?
I think you're a squad player. I think we're padding the squad with him. I don't think he's a first choice. Again, do I think he's better than Robinson? Yes. Is he better than Anel? I don't think he is, but Anel was a bit up and down last year. If Anel goes, we're going to need him. I just think it was a squad signing, personally. Third choice centre half.
Yeah, on a freebie, we'd have gone, okay, we'd have took him, I suppose. But again, does he level us up? No, I don't think he does. Does he get in if we have someone of the likes of Suter and Anel or someone of around that level? I don't think he does. So it's kind of like we're looking at a lot of these players, and I think that they are good championship players that Premier League teams wouldn't be looking at for a start. And as it appears, none of those top teams, I think Norwich are going to be where they normally are, somewhere between 6th and 10th is where they usually are at this point in time. They're obviously losing their two big hitters, I think, this summer in Borja Sainz and Josh Sargent, who I believe are both on the move. So it may be that they end up at somewhere around mid-table. I don't know. They may go and spend some of that money on some really top signings and being around the playoff picture. They have been before. But again, it's one of those moves where you think, okay, I'm not too worried. If it had gone to somewhere else that was one of our main rivals and did really well, I might be a little bit more upset about that one. There are a couple that I am a bit upset about. I'm not upset about Emil Rees. He's gone to Bristol, hasn't he, on a free? He was rumoured to be coming at one point. I don't see where he fits into our squad, personally. Your thoughts?
Yeah, not really interested in him, to be fair. If he can't play regularly for Preston, he's coming on as a sub. Why do we need him in our squad? He wouldn't make our first 11. He probably wouldn't make our first 16, 17. So, spending, I would have thought, 10k a week on a player like that, it's just dead money for me, personally.
I agree. Again, we have no idea how true any of these things are, to be honest. There is a couple of them that I would be much more interested in and would be probably a bit more upset about if these deals had gone through. So I just want to talk to you about David Brooks very quickly. In the system that we have, my personal opinion is that Brooks is a cut above the Championship, in my opinion. I think he'd be a top player in this division for whoever he plays for. What I was thinking about earlier today was, is Brooks essential to us at this point in terms of the type of player that we need? Now, if he played in one of those wide areas, my understanding and what I'm looking for personally is pace in those areas. So I want people who can turn defenders, hit on the counter, etc., play that high energy press. I think it'd be more of an 8 for us in the midfield, in the centre there. And I personally think we're quite well stocked in that position at this moment in time. Would I like him? Yes. Do we need him? Probably not at this point, because I don't think he would occupy one of those wide berths. What are your thoughts?
I don't see him as an 8. I see him as a right forward inverted winger coming inside on his left. So he's not going to give us width. We'd still need the overlapping fullback to get round. Is he a class above anything we've got? He's on a par with Hamer, probably, talent-wise. Proven Premier League player. And if we had the David Brooks of 2021, 22-year-old, fantastic. But I think he's 27 years old now, and he's just coming back from... he proved at Southampton he can get to that level again, but I'd be worried. Would I want him? Definitely. But he would be playing out wide for me.
Yeah, I think he's a class act still. I watched him. He broke into the Bournemouth team last season, which nowadays is no mean feat. A very, very good side, and they saw him as part of their plans last season. Again, I would be gutted if he went to West Brom. Personally, there is word that he might go to Rangers, which wouldn't hurt as much, obviously. For us, we wouldn't have to come up against him. But I do think he's a very, very useful player. Certainly, if we did lose one of our big hitters, he'd be somebody that I think would roll into that position perfectly for me. And I think a lot of players feel exactly the same. There was a prospect, obviously, over in Louis Barry, who went over to Hull and chose Hull last season under Ruben Sayers to go and join them on loan from Villa. There's a few alarm bells here. Just that. Why would he choose Hull? And if it is Sayers, then great, because then obviously Sayers has a good rep with some of these players and he can get them in. Obviously, scoring goals in League One is very different to coming up to the Championship. We know that it is a different beast. I personally think he would be a great signing at the money that they're talking about. My question is, why are Villa letting him go for such a price? Why is he only worth £3.5 million? And I know that they were looking at a big sell-on fee, is the word. They were looking at a 50% part of the sell-on profit, which, if you're letting one of your young talented players go for that amount of money, you can't argue with, really. I wouldn't be worried about it. We don't know what's happening with him. We gather that he went and the deal wasn't right, and therefore they pulled out. We don't know whether he's being used as a negotiating tool or we're being used as a negotiating tool. We have no idea at the minute, do we? But he's another one that I would be really keen to get in.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got his League One record to go, and I knew about him years ago when he. I mean, Jim said this morning about going to Barcelona and then back to Villa, and he's always been highly rated. I remember him playing for Villa when they put the youth team out against Liverpool one year, and he played really well. I think he scored actually in the 6-1, something like that. And he's a very good player, but he doesn't fit Villa because they're just athletes at Villa. You look at Villa's side; they're all big, strong athletes, and he's not. He's a wiry, small, really technical player who scores goals, and it's whether he can do that as he goes higher up the leagues. The players get bigger and quicker and stronger. The space gets less and less. Will his technique allow him to still do what he did in the lower leagues? Do I think he can do it? Probably. Will he be a first choice for us? I don't know. I think there might be better out there, but is there better value out there? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at the Championship level, he's definitely worth a punt, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's still unproven at this level. Did very well, obviously, over at Stockport. But yeah, it's a different level. Top of the Championship is different again. And yeah, whether he'd had that same impact, I mean, if he did, crikey, he wouldn't be around for long, would he, if he could come in and score the volume of goals? I think he had 16 goals, didn't he, from a wing position? In half a season. So he was there. He was absolutely destroying it. So yeah, it's hard to know at the minute. There's lots of rumours, lots of people getting clicks from fans like us, just keeping an eye on the situation. And yeah, the media outlets that are the big boys haven't really shed any light on his future just yet. There's a few dipping their toes in and giving us a little bit of a tease with certain information, but we have to wait and see.
On the Louis Barry thing, though, he scored 16 goals, but he was cheating as a left-sided player. It wasn't working. He wasn't helping his left back out. He was cheating and he was staying high. So, he's probably playing.
I don't know how many Stockport games you watched, but I personally can't say, oh yeah, I know about them. I watch enough football in this house as it is, and if I had to go down and watch that lot, then I'd be struggling in more ways than one. So there is some other ones. Obviously, some of our rivals are losing some of their better players. I was talking about Borja Sainz and Sargent from Norwich, who, if they kept them two, would be a real force next season, in my opinion. We've got Amari Hutchinson leaving. We think maybe for West Ham from Ipswich, having already lost Liam Delap. There's quite a few players who are still to fall out of those squads, I would imagine, who want to go and play Premier League football and have plenty of suitors for that. There's obviously quite a few things around Gus Hamer at the minute. There's a few teams, lots of rumours, talks of for sale signs that aren't there, and there's lots of rumours at the moment of Premier League teams being interested in Gus at this time. I guess like every other club other than about 3 or 4 in this country, if the right offer comes, then we know what happens, don't we? Because we're normal football supporters supporting a provincial club in the Championship. If someone comes with the right kind of dough. The good thing about Sheffield United in recent times, for me, is that we've been commanding proper fees for some of our better players. Which, again, for those of you that have been a fan for longer than 15 years will know that never used to be the case, and we used to get our, I'm going to say, pants pulled down, but yeah, that's certainly how it used to feel sometimes about some of those big deals that were going through. So there was a mention in the comments about Etienne Kinkau. I believe it's Kinkau. He is at Le Havre, and he has 1 year left on his deal. There are other teams in for him, namely Burnley and FC Cologne. as well. And there was loads and loads of talk about last year. So when I looked on the news outlet for where he was, formerly Forest and Wolves have expressed an interest, Red Bull Salzburg, as well as West Ham United, who apparently nearly had a deal for him for 10 million last season. We watched, someone posted a video in the group earlier, and obviously you get the nice highlights, all the best bits, none of the clangers and none of the other stuff, but you get all the nice tackles and the recovery runs. He looks like an athlete to me. Someone who's good at intercepting the ball, but obviously these highlight reels can be a little bit deceptive. Those of you who remember Benny Traore, who looked like an absolute destroyer, and then obviously turned up and he was about as big as my 10-year-old son. So yeah, what do you make of that one? That's a link that's been made recently.
I've only just seen it actually. I've been a bit busy with work today, but it's not somebody I've come across when I've been looking, so I can't really give you much about him. But if the clubs that you've just said are looking at him, he's going to have a decent pedigree. You know, you said he's quite tall, he's athletic, and at the end of the day, defending at its basic level is headers and volleys and stopping that guy from scoring. And if you're quick, big, and you've got a little bit about you in your head, you're halfway there. You know, just give it the player in front who's better with the ball than you.
But
You know, at the basic level.
It sounded like you were describing Austin Trusty for a second there, and then I thought to myself, "Oh no, maybe not."
No, he can't even give it to the bloke in front of him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, technically, he had everything he needed. He had the pace, the size, athleticism. Yeah, and then I saw him kick a ball and thought, "Oh dear." Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? But if you do want to learn more about that particular player, excuse the pun here. This was something Jimmy sent me earlier. This is for tomorrow's 10-minute transfers. He'll be looking at him. Let me just get rid of the. Let me show you the. Oh dear, here we go. So let me show you the bottom bit. Blades getting kinky. Thanks a million for that, mate. Brilliant, really good. Cheers, Jim. Lovely. Yeah. So that's that. Sorry, excuse my. My clunkiness on the thing here. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to read through some of the comments quickly before we go on to our next piece, mate. Let me just get some of these up so we can talk through and see if there's any questions for us. I had none a minute ago. Now I've got loads. Okay, so Donna, Leeds lurker with a morbid fascination. Okay, all right then. Okay, yeah, hit the like button. Plenty on tonight. Not many likes. If you don't like seeing these messages, then hit the like button, please. Cheers, thank you for that. Yeah, there's a great picture on social media. George Baldock chasing Jota. Game both gone too soon. Yeah, very very sad indeed. And obviously, those pictures. They're for me, you know. When people go that soon, it does make you think about, you know, you got to live your life and you've got to do it while you're here. And if you're scared of doing something, forget it. It's a waste of your energy. Just go ahead and do it and live your life the best way you can while you can, and cherish the memories you get, because, yeah, we know why. Think stores open at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Okay, so no teaser. Okay, Mark, thank you for that, Mr. Meldrew. My granddad was a blade, one of my favourite films. Oh, Paul, I'll always lurk around. There you go. Paul, you're always welcome with us, pal. Always welcome. Okay, very good. Thank you, Dana. Sounds not great, Paul. Okay, sounds not great. Oh, dear. Okay. Thoughts on Louis Barry? Yeah, I think we've done that, Ray. Yeah, it's someone that we think we'd like. Leonie's dodgy connection. Yeah, it's always Leonie's dodgy connection. Timu broadband port. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. He's not alone. Me and Jimmy have loads of fun with our providers. Dodgy connection. Okay. Reverb. Thank you. Mr. V, channel royalty. How you doing, pal? Audio is coming back from Lee's side, I think. Lee, you're going to turn my volume down a bit, mate. I'm a bit of an echo. Okay.
I've gone onto the headphones, so it should have stopped by now. Yeah,
so maybe headphones. Donna suggests in the future we'll try not to. I can't hear it now. I could hear it before, and I can't hear it now. So that's all. In regards to Louis Barry, think these rumours Hull have come back in are just people resurfacing. Yeah, potentially. Again, when he's holding the shirt, we might know a little bit more. Okay, so Sariki's defensive work is massively underrated, says Matt. People saying his pace gets him out of trouble, likening him to, to Kyle Walker. He can use it and get up the pitch knowing he can get back. Yeah, I think it's a feature, obviously, that he does. It's an attribute he has. We don't want him relying on it all the time. It's a great thing to have in your arsenal, and certainly going the other way, going forward, he looks like an absolute beast. Fullbacks, obviously, if he's big, strong, fast. Yeah. Here we go. Still on the Robbo bandwagon, says Paul. Don't know, not really. Just saying. Not everybody rates him, and everyone's entitled. Ruben and the board have dumped Chris's target, so hopefully they bring in some quality. Yeah, that's the thing at the minute. I think these are a lot of championship steady away sort of signings, fishing in the domestic pool again. We're going to look at the foreign markets again in a little while, just to see what we think we might be able to get and the sort of players that are out there, and just take you through why the foreign markets may be a better option for us potentially. Paul have received an embargo for late. Okay, didn't know that. Okay, Brooks' best position is either right or left side of a free up front, which is what you said, wasn't it? Cut above in this league, correct? Yeah, we all agree on that one. Any news on Sousa? Nothing yet. There's been nothing confirmed either way on Sousa. We think it's got legs, but we don't know for sure until he's holding the shirt. We won't know. I really don't like the comms coming from the new owners and Stephen Bettis. I don't know about this. I would have expected one of the chairmen to make a statement and come out and do an interview potentially. It's been a bit of a bugbear of mine because I remember when I was a kid, people kind of knew who the chairmen were, but now they're almost celebrities, aren't they? You know, when you watch the Premier League, if we said in 1990, for example, when the Premier League started, 92, 93, wasn't it? If you said to me, who's the chairman of this team, I wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo. I think that sometimes you see him now, match of the day, focusing on him. Do we really need something from them? I think that they might let their purse strings do the talking. I don't know. Some people would prefer him to come out and make some statements. Some people, I don't know, maybe they're waiting to get a few in before they do that. I'm not sure. I think as Blades, we always want to know what's what and who's who, but do we have the right to know everything? Probably not. In fact, if I was doing a transfer, like the West Brom fans have had a full breakdown about the recent signing of David Brooks, because they believe it was getting leaked all over social media that he was going there, that has alerted other teams to the fact that he was coming, and now the deal's fallen through. So it's hard to know how much of an effect things like this have on those deals. But I'm sure as soon as it could put people's ears up in the right places if they know that someone's getting someone for a bargain price and the deal is still there to be hijacked. I'm sure the moral compass goes out the window, and you go and do your best for your team, don't you, at that point? So I don't know. I'd rather they spring it on me. I'd rather, if the first signing comes in the door, he's stood holding the shirt, that's the first time I see him, happy days for me. What do you think, Lee?
I would like them to have had a press conference when they got rid of Wilder. I'd like them to be in the room and present Selesh so they can answer some questions, because the questions they're going to be asked, they don't want to answer, and they're not going to be nice questions, are they, at that point anyway? Do I think we need to know everything about everybody who's coming in? Definitely not. Keep it under wraps. Just because outwardly we're not hearing anything doesn't mean that inwardly things aren't happening. And maybe we get a signing tomorrow, 4th of July, American owners, new shirt. Who knows? Maybe it's tomorrow.
Who knows? So, Anthony, you're losing our best player, I presume, before season starts, so reserving any judgments. Lots of teams that happens in the Championship all the time. Yeah. Particularly when you don't get promoted, all your players are up for grabs, and like I said, we are no different. The right offer, it's going to happen. The thing is, what we want as fans is reinvestment, and I don't see. At this minute, with the signing of Cannon, which was a bit left field at the time, I don't see how penny pinching's going to help us get promoted and ultimately get these guys what they're after. So yeah, I think we'll see some big signings and we'll see some big improvements to our first 11. We've got to get Louis Barry and Brooks. $3.5 million for Barry is a no-brainer, and Brooks' experience and quality. Yeah, I agree. They are good players. Again, might not be what we're after. We might be after a bit of a pace merchant on those flanks. I agree. I think he's a great player at this level. Anyone who gets him playing in the Championship is going to be a top he's going to be a top signing for somebody. But again, we have to just wait and see. He might not be part of the plan, so we'll have to see. Who's going to be keeper next season? Whoa, Anthony, please. Let's Cooper's going nowhere, pal. Cooper's going nowhere unless someone's robbed a bank. They are not going to be having Michael Cooper of Sheffield United. Rumours are that Hamer is or wants to leave for the Premier League for a Premier League side. I think United will sell most of our best players to fund a lot of unproven players. I think they'll hang on to people where they can. I think there's a lot of player power at the minute. I think they'll be actively trying to move Enel on personally with a year left. If you won't sign a deal, I think they'll be pushing to get him out the door and get a reasonable transfer fee for him at this point. I think Sousa's, there's been a lot of noise about Sousa and his agent trying to manufacture a move. He stayed with us, didn't he, when we came down? It's sometimes the way when you sign players in the Premier League, sometimes they will give you just one season and then say, look, I've got my career to think of. I need to move in. They get the right offer. If it's a big side from a top flight team in another country, it's as long as the money's right, we have to take it, unfortunately. Hull City just hit with a transfer embargo. Really? John Percy reporting it. Credible. Okay. That's interesting. Another development. Again, when we read it from the BBC or somebody, I agree. That could be a factor for him. Could open the door for us. We'll have to wait and see. What we got, John Percy. Yeah, okay. Agree. Paul Sayers should bring in his own players. He should do. Yeah, he should. So Rob's talking about the transfer embargo again. Okay, again we'll have to see. Gus wants out. Again, rumours. We never know, do we? We never know what's true and what's not. But yeah, let's hope not, because he's an important player for Sheffield United. Still annoys me, Paul, how flourishing Hyde due to tech failure, luckiest club this decade. Oh yeah, my gosh. The one I said this the other day to somebody about the goal line technology being the best thing in football, because when the ball goes in, the referee points, nobody argues. When the ball doesn't go in, the referee points, nobody can argue, unless you're Sheffield United.
Unless they've not turned it on.
It goes off at half time. Common sense. We should give them the goal. No chance. No. That can't happen. Not going to hang about given he was the Championship's best player. True, Anthony. Yeah, potentially true. Don't know. Yes, Jack. Check Twitter. Yes, Jack. Yes, Jack. Mr. Vancouver. Yes, Jack. My Twitter never works. Surely Barry is ours, he says. Surely nothing. Get the shirt in the hands, then he might be ours. Okay, good evening, gents. Well, where do we start? Barry coming piggies hit with another charge. Love it. Yeah, we do love it. But ultimately as well, like I've said before, when there's people's livelihoods going on, I know it's a bit boring and I keep banging that same drum. I just want to reiterate that we are on the side of the working man and woman who are there, and I don't want to rub any salt into anyone's wounds until they've been paid. I've just lost my spot in the comments. What do we think over Ipswich and Middlesbrough games being changed? Happens, mate. We want the money, don't we? We're happy to take the money from Sky when we're put on there. So yeah, unfortunately, everyone's a bit of a slave to that. We signed the deal. We want the money. We do as we're told, and unfortunately, is the reality. The Louis Barry thing with the alleged 50% sell on is probably due to Villa facing PSR. Yeah, PSR is definitely a thing for certain clubs, and seemingly not for some others. But again, let's not get into that, because me and Lee could go all night with that. Do you think Arblaster is fully fit and ready to go at the start of the season? The rumor is that he'll be a bit later. Lee's shaking his head. Do you know more than me, Lee?
No, it's just the same as what you've heard. They're looking at October, November, aren't they? From what I've heard.
Yeah, you never know. As a young player, sometimes younger players can make these miraculous recoveries quicker than expected. I don't really want him to. I'd rather he come back in fully fit state. So because he's going to have to push himself to the limit. Certainly, if he's not getting a full pre-season like everybody else, we know that can hang over for the rest of the season if you don't come back in the right condition. So yeah, I wouldn't be rushing him back. He's been wanting to come back from after about a week. He said he's going to be a couple of months, wasn't he? He's very keen. Such a nice lad. But yeah, just listen to the physios, please, Ollie. I don't want you back too soon, pal. Hull City hit with transfer. Yeah. I don't know too much about that, so I'm sure Jimmy will enlighten us on some of those things. later in the week when they've been ratified. Good read from Riley Roberts on the Bulgarian right back we're interested in. Yeah, apparently he's a bit of a player. I've heard he's a good player, big prospect. I can't see embargo. Okay. This embargo is taking over. Question for both. How do you see Tom Cameron going next season? Personally, I'm intrigued. I'm absolutely intrigued. I was speaking to a Leicester supporter just this last week, and he was saying we should have kept him. We should have kept him. He's a finisher. You can see he's a finisher. He was gutted that he'd gone. Don't understand Leicester's thing. They must have known that Vardy was going to be gone soon enough. The forwards that they've got at the minute, Patson Daka's not done it for a long time, has he? And I think he's on big wages as well. Leicester's wage bill was about the 10th or 12th in the division, something like that in the Premier League. So they've got to get some wages off the books. They spent a lot of money on some very average players. So, yeah, he thinks they should have kept him. We will wait and see. In the right system, forwards flourish in the right system, don't they? You know, Kiefer Moore became a big player for us towards the end of the season because we kind of changed the way that we played up to him, and all of a sudden he's a useful asset to the side. Lee, what do you think?
It all depends on, again, how we play him. He seems to me a player that will flourish in a 2 up top. And from all the sounds that we're getting about the 4-3-3 that Sellesh has played in the past, that's not going to happen. But when you look at him, about him being a natural finisher, how many good chances did he actually miss last year? I can't think of many. We just didn't create them for him.
No,
so he's a little bit unproven.
I think with strikers as well, he would have been nervous. He's very young. Was he 21 or 22? Was he 22 years
22,
old?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So he's still very, very young, early on in his development. Would have been nervous coming here because of the price tag, I'd imagine. Bit of pressure because we need to win games. We're at the top of the table and you've got to keep up the pace. Did we play to his strengths? I can't recall him missing many sitters, like you say. I remember him snatching it a couple early.
Yeah.
Nerves on show. Took his goal at Burnley, obviously, very well. I think he's a finisher, and I think we are yet to see the best of him. So there's certainly more to come, in my opinion. I like to think that he'll end up being a goal scorer for us next season. He certainly was doing a decent job for Stoke City, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So Jimmy said, going well with Barry. Good. Let's hope so. Let's not speculate anymore on that one. Hopefully we've got some news to report in the next week or so on that one. We need to look at a player with more than 60% prem quality and just top-end championship. Yeah, I think that's where I am with a lot of these transfers, Neil. A lot of the ones that have gone begging, that our fans are going, well, we should have had him. They're championship footballers. And if you are trying to get out of the championship, I think you need to cast your net a little bit further and you need to look at potential bargains and things like that are coming from Europe, a much bigger pond. Typically, we purchase players domestically, and that is a small pond of players, a small group of players to choose from. So I think that casting our net a bit further, Sayers seems to be that kind of manager where we bought him in for sort of that reason. I think he probably is a bit more open-minded to having more European players in, and it's a good blueprint for the teams that we're trying to emulate in the Premier League, who have had numerous of these, and it's probably shortly a good time to segue into that. What does leveling up mean in this context? So leveling up, what that means is when we're looking at transfers, we are looking at players that we think are proven championship players. So all the players that we've spoken about so far, I think we can safely say are proven commodities in this division. Now, there's a lot of other teams in this division after them, agreed. Not many from the Premier League at all. And if you look at the type of player that the teams that we're trying to emulate, the Bournemouths, the Brentfords, the Brightons, etc., they are fishing in a big pond of a world pond. Okay, they are looking all over the place to find these players that they can pick up for relatively good value compared to the British domestic markets, which we have typically been part of. Now, there's a few that I've obviously, and I'm picking the best examples here, and I just wanted to do that with yourself, Lee. Just a little bit of a pop quiz for you, mate. Don't want to put you on the spot too much, but yeah, I will do. So we've just seen Milos Koikes signed for Liverpool from Bournemouth. Have you got any idea where he was before he joined Bournemouth? Have you got any clues? Do you have any ideas?
No, is he Serbian? I think he's Serbian, isn't he? Something like that. So, no, I haven't got a clue.
So he was signed from AZ in the Netherlands.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Brian Mbumo, who's just about to, we think might be joining Man United for the best part of £65+ million. He was signed for £5 million by Brentford. Any clues where you think he might have been before?
Not a clue.
Okay,
Not a clue.
Troyes in France. Okay, just for your
Wow.
I'm not trying to catch you out, mate. I didn't know where any of these were from before I did the research. Alexander Isak, where has he gone? He's probably worth the best part of £100 million. Where did they get him from?
Were it something like Helsingborgs?
It wasn't. It was Real Sociedad in Spain. So they had him from
No
Real
idea.
Sociedad, a smaller Spanish team. Yeah, and before, like, Pedro Neto, obviously now has been lighting up the Club World Cup recently. Do you know where he came when he went to Wolves? Where did he come from?
Not a clue.
Braga in Portugal, mate. Murillo of Forest.
Come on.
Corinthians. Do you know where Kara Mitoma, who's rumoured to be worth about £75 million now, turning down Bayern Munich this week, apparently? Do you know where they had him from?
Was he in Holland?
No, he's from Kawasaki Frontale, which is
oh, come on, give me a chance.
Yeah, I know. And he costs €3 million. Now I guarantee that none of the supporters of those clubs, when those players, I appreciate, and I will get some feedback on this, I'm sure. I've picked some players who have gone like that. Okay, yeah. I get that. But before they moved there, they all come from foreign shores. No one knew who they was. Certainly not the players that so the people who support those clubs probably didn't know who they were unless they were a diehard fan following everything that moves. So my point here is sometimes you can find these gems and you can find them anywhere. Okay, you don't find too many in League One and who are solid. They're not solid Championship players that you're trying to sign. You're trying to sign players on potential, and I think that's where this board are hedging their bets. They are looking at that foreign market, looking at, yes, using AI. I know that's not the sole strategy, just for those of you that have been critical of that. But if you're looking at players who can run certain distances, certain times, run certain paces, score goal, other things like that. Now we know that stats mean whatever the level. So when we talk about buying players from League One, we know they're not going to be exact. They're not going to score 20 in League One, then come to the Championship and score 20. It can happen. It can, but it's not likely, is it? Because the level is a different level. And it's certainly the same going from the Championship to the Premier League. So a bit closer to home then. So it might give you a chance for these, mate. Vasper Bokis, any clues?
Did we sell him to Derby or did we get him from Derby?
We sold him, to Derby, but we bought him from...
Can't remember.
Capital of Greece, mate. Let's give you a clue.
Panathinaikos, AEK Athens, Olympiakos.
AEK Athens. When he arrived at Bramall Lane, no one had a clue who he was. We were just like, Bubokis, how do you say it? And he signed from AEK Athens. Sander Berger, a bit more closer to the... Do you remember where he came from?
He was from a team in Belgium, weren't he?
He was.
Can't remember. He went Genk, wasn't it?
It was Genk. Off of the cap to you, my friend. Lys Mousset, before he went to Bournemouth. Do you remember where he was?
Some lower league French team.
Le Havre again. Very good. And what about Vinny Souza, the man that we're speaking about at the minute? What do you reckon?
Where Sociedad he was at one point, wasn't he? And then did he go? Sociedad. And did he go to somewhere in Belgium as well? But he started at Flamengo. Yeah,
he did. And then
in Brazil.
He moved to Lamel in Belgium, and then he was on loan at Espanyol, where we would have seen him. So again, all over Europe, all over the world. We didn't have a clue about him until we saw the video in the build-up. So this is what the point I'm trying to get to is we don't necessarily we don't have to have guys that are proven commodities at the level. We can get guys like that, for example. And I'm not saying that, I know there's other good examples in Caicedo and Kante, who we spoke about earlier on. They pluck them out from nowhere, and they're signed basically for their physicality and their ability to perform athletically at the level. And I think that's where this board are going. And so for me, I'm not surprised that we haven't gone for championship stalwarts like Jimmy Dunn, for example. I'm just not that surprised that we haven't gone in for him. I'm going to go back to a few comments, Lee, before we get on to looking at a few potential replacements and looking at Vinny Souza as well, if he does go. Oh, Mr. V.
Cheers.
As per usual, Mr. B, Mr. Vancouver, the most generous man I know. Great job tonight, Paul and Lee. Two blokes who always talk sense and calm the fears about this whole AI push. That's the old man coming out in me. Yeah. Well, you're allowed to have it, Mr. V. Until we find a couple that have really worked, you've got every right to have that opinion. Problem that we have, if we don't really know how Ruben is going to want to play, the good side, so predicting he will be after is hard. A lot of the positive things happening at the club. I think so. Yeah, I think there are positive things. I think the idea is that he wants fit players who can press high. Very, very similar to what I'm seeing in the Club World Cup at the minute. Very, very similar to what we see in the Premier League. And again, that might be open up some doors for some good loan players if they're coming into a system that they recognise and is more akin to how they want to play themselves. Evening, guys. RIP, yes, indeed. On a lighter note, I hope Vinny fails his medical. Okay, Jamie. Yeah, that could be a saving grace. Prem level in quality, so we don't struggle as we have in previous years. Yet we need Prem players who can bridge the gap. I think is a good way to go. What do you guys think about Mike Hunt? Yeah, don't know. There's no rumours about Gus wanting out at all. Kerkez is Hungarian. That's the problem we have with Moore up top. We didn't play to his strengths. He didn't play to Cannon's strengths either. Yes, Neil, that's kind of a feeling that I had. If Tanaka lights it up, pal, we always make a fortune when he joins a top 6 club. He cost us $3 million. What a steal. Yeah, it's true, mate. It's true, yeah. Tanaka was one of the signings, if not the signing of the season in the Championship. An amazing purchase. Yeah, I thought he took to it like a duck to water, and I expect to see him do well in the Premier League as well, actually. To be fair, Isak was well known before Newcastle and really rated from at least 2019. And Real Sociedad are no small team. That is true, Jamie. It is. When you look at him now, they had the courage to go and sign him and put him in as their main striker, and he's worth probably 2-3 times what they paid for him, I'd imagine now. So yeah, I get it. They're not all cheapies, but they are from foreign shores that they wouldn't have been able to get those type of players from a British club, certainly at a lower level. So there's a few things we want to look at today. So if Vinny Souza is down the road, we're just going to take a quick look at what Vinny Souza's brings to the table and what we might need to replace him and what type of player might be good for as a replacement. So I'm just going to start you off with Vinny Souza, Lee. Do you want to talk us through that? Comments.
Yeah, Vinny. I mean, we all know what Vinny's like. He's a very good ball winner, fantastic athlete, decent in the air without being superb. But he's the one that cleared everything up for our better players technically to play. He was solid. Unfortunately, he missed too many games. You know, he obviously has got an issue with his hamstring. But from the first season, when he looked a bit lost, to when he played last season, it was like having two different players. Very, very impressed with him last year, and we will miss him unless we replace him correctly in that role. If we are going to play with that ball-winning midfielder.
Just to explain to people, Lee, just for a second there. So is this the percentage as in the percentile in the league that they're in? Is that a championship comparison?
That's correct.
Okay, so in there, 98% for defensive actions. So that kind of tells you quite the story. Obviously, chances created in the 25th and shot attempts and goals. Obviously, he didn't score. And he 87% of his results. So he is that defensive rock, isn't he? So it just doesn't really depend on what type of player Sayers wants, really, because they might want a ball playing centre mid. Someone who's more of a playmaker, or they may want to replace light for light with someone who can sit in that position and tackle for us. I'm going to look at our second one. This is one that hasn't really been flagged. I know that you've done a little bit of research on this player, and it may alert some people in some places as to this type of player. But the first one we're looking at is Eric Martel. Yeah.
Yeah, this kid's I've known about him for about a year. He's a very good player, captain of the Germany under-21s currently, under-20s, under-21s. Unfortunately, he plays for FC Köln, who've just been promoted to the Bundesliga, and he's only got a year left of his contract, and they don't know what they're going to do with him. This guy's a fantastic defensive-minded midfielder, very good aerially. His passing ability is solid, and he's very elegant. This is a guy who would be ideal for us to sign, but whether we've got the pull to sign him is another issue.
Yeah, you'd imagine that they don't want to lose their best players if they're just gone up to the Bundesliga, obviously. Going into the last year of his contract, they are a little bit held to ransom a bit, because if he's refusing to sign a new deal, which you'd imagine if he's by his stats, they'd want him in there. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how if that played out, if we did go from whether it'd be somebody that we could actually manage to get. Next one we want to look at is a guy, Jocelyn Janner.
This guy's an absolute beast of a midfielder. Just a ball-winning machine. He can play. He's got 2 years left on his contract, but he's a fantastic athlete, a really good athlete, covers a lot of ground. Not so good at the interception side of it, but actually winning the ball, reading the tackle, fantastic player. He'd be very good, and his value is very low. I mean, he's only valued at, this is transfer mark, he's only valued at 1.3 million. Obviously, you're going to have to pay more to get him out. But this lad, but it's coming from League Two. But there's a lot of good players in League Two in France.
And the thing that I'm noticing as well is the profile of the player. So this is where a lot of these teams in the Premier League go and get their players. 23 years old is Martel. Janner is 22, I believe.
Yeah.
So again, that young player, I think he's probably the best light for Vinny. Would you say that we've got?
Yes. Definitely is. He's an absolute beast of a midfielder, that guy, Janner.
Okay, and again, another tall one. They're all 6 foot plus, aren't they? They're all physical.
Yeah, they're all big lads.
Moving on, Silas Anderson.
This lad can do a bit of everything, if I'm honest. But he does play, can play centre half as well. But he does play as a holding midfielder. He's an absolute Rolls Royce. This kid. He's athletic, defensively strong. His timing of the tackle is superb. He's a big unit. He's very composed on the ball. And to me, it reminds me of the Sander Berg that we thought we were going to get instead of the one we did actually get, who didn't put his foot in so much and didn't win the headers. This is the guy that does. 6'3", Danish, under 20 international. He's only valued at 600k on transfer market. 21-year-old. The only issue is Hacken only signed him in January from Utrecht. So that's the only point on that. But he's a guy that, going forward, maybe not a first-team regular this year, but he's somebody we should really be looking at.
Yeah, mate, I have to ask, where have you managed to get? How do you know about these sorts of players? Because obviously, this is the sort of thing that scouts are paid to do, to go over and look at these players. How do you know about them?
Well, it's a bit of an hobby. So it starts out, you just have a look round, statistically to start with, and then you can start looking at these players. So then you'll see the highlight reel. That's great. But some highlight reels are better than others. I do a lot of them you get from a company called Scout 365, who are very good.
Okay.
And then from that, you can start looking at bits of games. And that makes a difference when you can see. There's a bit on Anderson where it shows you 34 minutes of a game and every touch he uses in a game. So you can see what type of player he's like and where he recovers from. And it's really interesting. And that's where you pick it up from. And then you'll just start researching online. And there's a lot that fall by the wayside that just don't feel it. But, 3 or 4 that you think, yeah, that could actually do it. And when you look at the profile and the stats wheels, yeah, you can see that, if we're trying to replace a like for like or maybe level up eventually, they're out there. They are out there.
Probably more the type of player that we will be looking for compared to where we have been recently. So yeah, thank you for finding them. Crikey, I
am looking for a bargain as well. So we're not looking at 15 million pound players. We're looking at 5 million
players with a big upside, players you can get for a reasonable value, who obviously have the athleticism, have some ability. Obviously, the comparisons need to be taken with a little bit of a pinch because obviously different levels and different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, they show all the right signs. Like you said, some of these international lads, you'd imagine would be able to hold their own. But again, we don't know, because we thought that about Traore, we thought it about Slimani, who the club did take chances on from these types of leagues. Yes, it didn't work out for us, but we did actually end up getting our money back. Same with Trusty, didn't we? Got our money back. It kind of, it was a risk worth taking in the end, I'd imagine. So there's one last one that's a bit more close to home. Imran Loser, apparently he's handed in a transfer request at Watford. You think he'd be a good addition?
I think he'll be a different addition, a different type of player, because we don't know which way Selesh is going to go. I saw him 3 times last year, and he was very good on every time. He's a proper playmaker. He's always available. He's a very good passer, good range of passing, but he's not a typical ball winner. So it depends on how we're going to go. Is he any better than Arblaster, or will we get more out of Arblaster than this guy? And I think we probably would get more out of Blaster. The plus as well is 5'10", but we know he's proven in this division. He's proven.
Yeah, he's a bit more, like you say, about that playmaker sort of thing. Is he too similar to Arblaster? I don't know. Again, been a great player in this division, and he's proven at the level. He's probably the only one of those that people would recognise and be able to say, yeah, he could be a goer. Unfortunately, we do like what we know, and taking those risks are big for supporters more than anything, because we've had some triumphs in that case. So, like I said about Babokis, Mousse Berger, Vinny Souza, we've signed players from abroad before. It's not like we haven't done that. All the way back to Jostein Flo, I remember when I was a kid, we used to watch him with his hand in a cast, nodding stuff in for us from Norway. But we do like players that we know about, don't we? Usually, so that's correct, what those players are for. So yeah, I mean, last one, I just wanted to ask you about. Obviously, I look around and see what's happening with the teams that are coming down. Oh, hello, Lee. You gone, mate? Look at some of the players that are coming down, and obviously Leeds United as well, and Sunderland, who we did fear for. I think Sunderland at the minute are trying to steal all of these transfer targets. We know how they feel with Aston Villa. I'm going to finish off on a few comments, just a few of those players. Diarra, Siddiqui, apparently they're after Petrovic, and obviously Leeds need a goalkeeper. Stay away. They also need a playmaker. Stay away, because we don't want to give you our best players. Finally, okay, let's just skip past that a little bit. Okay, Neil will be a loss if he goes. Vinny will be a loss. Vinny will be a loss if he goes, but I don't think he will be as bad as others think. And welcome back, Lee. Thanks for coming back, mate. I don't know what you did there.
That were interesting.
Due to being prone to lots of injuries and missing a good chunk of the season, mate. Technical hazards on this. It happens. We will be looking to get top 10 again. Always a positive. Thank you, Pilot. And then finally, last one. Brilliant. Watch this, lads. Thank you very much. Indeed. Okay. So yeah, I'm about to wrap it up, Lee. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I was just quickly saying about when you disappeared on me, like David Copperfield, doing a Villa. So I put down here just about Sunderland at the minute, trying to steal all Leeds' targets. Do we have any empathy for that and sympathy? It seemed to be the way for us with Villa at one point, didn't it? With Diarra, Siddiqui, and Petrovic, and they seem to be slipping through their fingers. And there's obviously battles going on for some of these players who they think can establish them in the Premier League. What do you reckon to it? Do you have any sympathy? Are we trying to hope that they don't come in and try and steal our crown jewels?
Well, look how many times we've had players stolen off us. Did they feel sorry for us? I don't think they did.
No, they didn't, because they were stealing them most of the time.
So no, it's football. It happens. Players move. It's a job. It's a contract.
It's football, yeah. And obviously we understand where we are in the pecking order, and obviously we want to get good players in. We want players that are going to establish us near the top of the league and hopefully push us on to promotion. But actually, where they come from, it doesn't really matter. And we've got to get used to not knowing everything, because I'd much prefer to see some dude still with a shirt in his hand than have to wear 2 weeks in advance that we should be going in for him, or we have been in for him, or anything like that. So I just wanted to calm a few nerves about this foreign market. It's a bigger market. It has potential. Just bear in mind that if we do go into the domestic market, there's 22, 23 teams who can just gazumpers at any point in terms of the money package that they're able to offer, and we have to respect that. So we have to go and find our little gems somewhere else. And certainly I want players that can bridge the gap. People like Kessler Hayden, people like Louis Barry may be able to, but they've been rejected almost by Premier League teams, and it's whether we think that they would be good enough to go up and hang in the Premier League if we did make it there at the end of the season. So yeah, that's it, mate. I'm happy to wrap it up at that. If do you want to add anything about today or anything in the news that's been going on today that you want to just say anything about?
No, just really for the Blades fans, just calm down a little bit. You know, it's really early. You know, all that matters is when we turn up on the first game of the season, we've got the side that we need. You know, it might not be the side we want, it's the side we need. And we just got to back the team, and that's all we do. We just back the team.
Yeah, I don't know about you, mate, but I just seeing them come in and get on with the fitness. I know everybody's looking for who's there and who isn't there a lot of the time, and whether they're back in training or not. But I'm just looking at. I love seeing those videos that the club put out about them coming back into training, working really, really hard. You can see some of them are really struggling, which is how pre-season should be. It's a struggle for us whenever we had to do it. Yeah. So yeah, I like the idea that they've come in and started pushing themselves already. And let's face it, Sayers has been working with these guys now for the best part of a week. So I just want to say he's got to have a look. He's got to give people the chance and have a little look at him. Yes, there will be a list of targets handed to the board when he took the job. Yes, we are working on them. Will there be players that we recognise? Possibly, possibly not. But that does not mean that they are not good players. And that's what we need to remember. And that's what kind of I was trying to do earlier by saying, does anyone know where these guys came from? Or no one did. I doubt any of the teams that bought them did either. So I just don't want people to worry too much. Just a couple more comments just before we finish. Happening with Brewster, his contract has expired. So if he is negotiating, I think there was an offer on the table for him. He might have a better offer. He might be going somewhere else. We'll have to wait and see. But I know that I don't think the Blades will be breaking the bank to give him the sort of contract he was on before. And that might be enough for him to go down the road somewhere else. Okay, so yeah, we'll wait and see. You're going to lose Gus, Vinny, and one more. You have to sell before you... yeah, maybe. I don't know how you know that, Jamie. But we'll have to see. We sold a load of rubbish last year for loads of money, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. But we don't know that, and we'll wait and see, won't we? I know that's what I mean. If Leeds come in, he's off again. Well, potentially, and like I said, they're in the driving seat when it comes to money, being a Premier League side, and we just got to respect that. And we want the best price, and I'm sure we won't be selling on the cheap, as he's in a good state in terms of his contracts, as are a lot of our prized assets, other than Anel, obviously. Okay, and last one. You're not exactly a big name too. Yeah, don't know, Jamie. Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, right. I'm going to end it there, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's been The View from the Mountain. Lee, thank you for your time and coming on today. And thanks for introducing a few new players that I know most of us will never have seen or heard of before. But again, doesn't mean they're not good players. All right. Remember that, Blades. And on a somber day, enjoy your evening. Take care.